Welcome back to my channel Hidden Points. Today, we're uncovering the psychology of the gossip, that person who always seems to know every secret in every corner of every room. The gossip is rarely evil. The gossip is rarely bored. The gossip is almost always running from something inside themselves. People think gossiping is just talking too much, but the truth is far more dramatic and far more human. Imagine a girl named Emily. She grew up in a home where staying silent meant staying invisible. She learned early on that information was power. She watched the adults carefully and noticed how sharing a story, any story, made people turn toward her. For the first time in her life, she felt important. Her brain linked attention with information. She grew into the kind of person who always listened for details, because details made her feel alive. Then, imagine a boy named Jason. He always felt disconnected from his peers until he realized that people bonded fastest when they shared stories about others. He used gossip as a bridge because he didn't know how to connect any other way. Suddenly, he became the center of circles because people love insiders. He became terrified of being on the outside looking in again, so gossip became his social survival system. And then imagine someone like Sarah, who anxiously scans every room for emotional tension. She notices tiny shifts in tone, in body language. She collects these observations without even trying, and her mind refuses to rest until she understands every possible hidden motive. For her, gossip isn't entertainment, it's control, it's clarity. It's her shield against the terrifying feeling of unpredictability. These aren't just made-up stories. They represent the deep psychological roots of gossip. Psychologists explain that gossiping is deeply rooted in human evolution. Long before we learn to read or write, we learn to share information about others. Gossip protected tribes from danger, from untrustworthy people, and from harmful behavior. Because of this, our brain still treats social information as something urgent and rewarding. In fact, scientists discovered that gossip activates the brain's reward pathway. It's a social behavior mechanism called relational evaluation. This means the brain feels a jolt of pleasure when it gains information that helps it understand the social world. This is why you might feel a little spark when hearing something secretive. Your brain interprets that social knowledge as safety and control. For many, gossip becomes the default habit of people who fear vulnerability. Think about it. Talking about others is so much safer than talking about yourself. Gossip becomes a mask, a distraction, a way to avoid being examined. Gossips often struggle with deep-seated insecurity. They worry constantly about how they are seen by others. They try to ease this fear by shifting the attention outward, away from their own perceived flaws. Psychologists call this an external focus defense, where a person manages their own anxiety by analyzing others instead of facing their own emotions. Gossips are also often driven by hypervigilance. This is a state of heightened observation, often learned in unpredictable households during childhood. It conditions their mind to constantly scan for social danger and interpret small details as potential warnings. So gossip becomes a way to process the world, not necessarily a way to harm others. The dramatic truth is that many gossips don't trust people deeply. For them, gossip becomes a tool to feel prepared and protected in a world they see as threatening. And yet, here is the painful irony. Gossip drains relationships. People eventually start to fear being talked about. The gossip becomes isolated without ever understanding why. The very thing they crave connection is destroyed by the behavior they use to get it. The gossip wants closeness, yet they choose a strategy that builds distance. They want to feel important, yet they end up feeling misunderstood and alone. It's a self-defeating cycle that traps them in a loop of anxiety and social isolation. The behavior meant to protect them ends up being the very thing that hurts them most. But the story doesn't have to end there. When a gossip finally learns to express their own feelings directly, to build self-worth from authenticity instead of information, they transform. They can begin to use their strong observation skills in much healthier ways. That talent for noticing details can become empathy. That ability to understand social dynamics can become leadership. That insight into human behavior can become creativity. Their need to dissect other people's lives fades away because they finally feel safe and secure inside their own. They learn that true connection isn't built on secrets, but on shared vulnerability and trust. They discover that the most powerful information they can share is about someone else. It's about who they truly are. If you recognize some of these patterns in yourself, it's not a sign of being a bad person. It's a sign that a part of you is trying to feel safe. The first step is awareness. The next is choosing a new path, one that leads to the genuine connection you've been searching for all along. Thanks so much for watching. If this video resonated with you, please consider liking it and subscribing for more content that explores the deeper side of human behavior. See you in the next one.